everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and today we continue with the Bestiarum. As I was saying, we continue with the Bestiarum, a dive into the respective species of the Halo universe, and we continue with the Kig-Yar. Driven by the acquisition of wealth, the Kig-Yar species, whether the lanky jackal or the brawny skirmisher, were all sly thieves and contractors with little allegiance to anyone but themselves. A highly developed saurian species with distinct avian traits, the Kig-Yar of Ain were employed by the Covenant as mercenaries and hired hands, operating primarily in reconnaissance and scouting roles. Their keen eyesight, deft speed, and agile frames made them well suited for survey detachments, overwatch, and sniper support. While fully integrated within the Covenant hegemony as a client species, the Kig-Yar still retained a strong sense of independence, being far more interested in the lure of an artifact-rich trove and a full earnings purse than in any allegiance to the Covenant's religious dogma. Though borderline heretical, such worldly inclinations made the Kig-Yar predictable charges for their Sangheili commanders, and easily manipulable pawns for the Sanshayum, allowing the Covenant to overlook such behaviour. With strong legs and three-toed feet, the Kig-Yar's lean avian torso is tightly packed with muscle, bearing low shoulders and long, slender arms that end in tri-digit hands, easily capable of gripping and manipulating tools, machines, and weapons. Kig-Yar have shown incredible genetic variation within their species, with several distinct morphological threads. Ruttian, originating from the continent of Rut, with their most distinctive features being large, opaque eyes, raised head quills, and a long fringed tooth avian beak. Tavoan, hailing from the colonial asteroid of Tavo, with characteristics such as a blunt bird-like beak, a hardened, callous l'Oreal face skin, and extensive plumage on the head, back, and arms. Ibishan, found on the isolated continent island of Ibish, with trace characteristics of the earliest of their species: large-toothed reptilian jaws, low-set serpentine eyes, and splayed neck quills. The Kig-Yar are believed to have originated from a saurian species located on the continent of Alamet, and their own progress had already yielded space travel and inter-system colonies prior to the arrival of the Covenant. After several years of conflict with Covenant naval forces over foreigner artifacts hidden in their star system, a unified front of raiders and mercenaries finally reached an agreement of mutual beneficence, coined as the Letters of Marque. Operating as military contractors, the Kig-Yar served the Covenant for centuries prior to its collapse. After the war with the humans, many of them returned to their home system, picking up where they had left off ages earlier. Some, however, remained indentured to high-paying employers, while others, aligned with whichever splinter factions, would prove most profitable. Historically, greed may well be the only constant in Kig-Yar's culture. In Ain's past, rampant piracy and raiding led to violent feuds and occasionally large-scale conflict, like the Kazalo Wars. The Kig-Yar were eventually able to emerge with a global peace accord and relative unification, though this was always tenuous. Cunning, resourceful, and indefatigably pragmatic, the Kig-Yar maintained centuries of stability, while in the Covenant siphoning a seemingly endless revenue to do what only came natural to them: search for buried treasure. Now, without this steady stream of income for their species, fracturing is all but inevitable, many of their kind returning to their sectarian roots. Early Kig-Yar society was a despotic matriarchy with female leaders at the apex of the social power structure, governing not only breeding rights, but also rookeries, lineages, and all major assets. Although their government became more fragmented and democratic over time, much of this way of life stayed the same. In the Covenant, these matriarchs often became shipmistresses and were granted extensive control over missionary and exploratory operations. In its aftermath, they continued to drive the species' economy, relying heavily on grey market commerce trade and mercantile industries. Though some have arisen to prominence, most Kig-Yar males play servile roles in their society, fawning for the attention of females and the approval of a future mate. by proving themselves against other competition. The homeworld of the Kig-Yar is Ain, the primary satellite of the gas giant Chuot, also known as Idio 3, though the species propagated settlements throughout discrete parts of the star system. Ain itself is characterized by a single equatorial ocean, dense volcanism in certain isolated regions, and a nearly complete lack of glaciation due to proximity to its sun. The Moon generally enjoys a warm climate with substantial amounts of nitrogen and oxygen in its atmosphere, and a consistent influx of greenhouse gases, all of which contribute to a tropical disposition spanning the globe. The diversity of the Kig-Yar is not purely a result of natural speciation, and the planetary ecology itself is extraordinarily diverse at every level. The Covenant suspected the touch of the foreigners, and the presence of various mutagens in the atmosphere does provide evidence of ongoing manipulation and reshaping. The diaspora of Kig-Yar off the planet may yet have unforeseen consequences. Not that any matriarch or merchant union has expressed interest in this speculation. Mercenaries and pillagers by nature, the Kig-Yar wasted little time before pledging their allegiance to the Banished, while disputes over payment and performance led to a sporadic deployment of their forces in its earliest years. A strong Kig-Yar presence currently dominates the Banished infantry numbers. Unlike their time within the Covenant, which was marred by contradiction and compromise, the Kig-Yar of the Banished serve Aatrox's purposes for one reason alone: monetary compensation. This fact is no secret to the Banished, nor is it a matter of concern for them. Given their strict pragmatism and overarching goal to secure items of practical value and significance, the Kig-Yar found sure footing inside the Banished, aided by their natural tendency towards plundering and their ravenous desire for wealth. Most Kig-Yar were conscripted as contractors for hire, paid only for their performance, a suitable arrangement that allows them to do what they do best: slaughter and scavenge, though now under the watchful eye of warlords who disdain mediocrity. Among the Kig-Yar's three morphological variations, the Ratians populate the Banished's vast war machine more than any other of their kind, representing the bulk of their forces on Zeta Halo in a diversity of roles. The most basic of all Kig-Yar elements within the Banished is generally called the Freebooter, a standard contract for military service with compensation not too unlike that of the Covenant. Freebooter Kig-Yar are moderately armed, protected by light Banished armour while employing their traditional point defence gauntlet, which projects a dense energy shield capable of deflecting most small arms fire. For many, there is little difference between this role and the Kig-Yar's manifestation within the Covenant. Freebooters can provide security at Banished outposts or be deployed for scouting operations, relying on their keen eyesight and sense of smell to hunt down and neutralise targets. Although they represent the lowest of Kig-Yar ranks within the Banished, their natural abilities often exploited by Jiralhane and Sanghili, who have come to appreciate the functional benefit of their species during the time of the Covenant, and who will incorporate them at key locations and within specific strike groups to take full advantage of their raptorial traits. Visually, the Kig-Yar Raider bears little meaningful difference from the standard freebooter, apart from the slight modifications to its armour and weaponry. The primary distinction is in its function, as the Raider is most often utilised in offensive campaigns and during engagements that require infiltrating a heavily protected stronghold, executing a protracted siege, or even simply seizing an asset within the enemy's control. Raiders are often conscripted from specific rookeries that have a reputation for aggression and hostility, traits leveraged by seasoned Banished commanders to forge effective Kig-Yar soldiers that are more than capable of participating in unilateral, high-risk strikes. Freebooters can advance to the status of Raider once they have proven their ability in combat, but many refrain from this progression, desiring instead to maintain the lowest possible risk-to-reward ratio. Banished commanders have often overridden such diffidence, luring chosen Kig-Yar into advancement paths with the promise of wealth. Among the Kig-Yar, no role has defined their species more than that of sniper. Their remarkably powerful eyes and lightning-quick reflexes have long since destined their employment to this end. Even during the many centuries of the service in the Covenant, there has never been a time when the Kig-Yar did not perform in this capacity. Within the Banished, little has changed. Most Kig-Yar snipers are equipped with the Stalker rifle and outfitted with a native link optics module, allowing them to exact long-range kills with both speed and efficiency. A well-guarded Banished outpost will position Kig-Yar snipers at key locations to provide overwatch, deploying scouting parties along the perimeter to spot and terminate any threat. During the Banished's initial campaign against the humans on Zeta Halo, Kig-Yar snipers ravaged the enemy's numbers with highly complex hunting parties, meticulously combing the ring's terrain. When the Banished eventually pivoted to defense, Kig-Yar was stationed at strategically positioned watchtowers. Within the Covenant, the role of skirmisher was held almost exclusively by Tavoans, a subspecies of Kig-Yar that developed on an asteroid within the Idios system. What the Banished discovered soon after conscripting the Kig-Yar was that the mantle and practice of the skirmisher extended far beyond the Tavoan legacy, deep into the ancient past of all Kig-Yar. Many Ruttians took it upon themselves to powerfully and unambiguously demonstrate this, equipped with extensive battle armour and bearing the technological and aesthetic markings of the traditional skirmisher, the strongest and most skilled Kig-Yar. Banished conscripts showed themselves to be every bit as formidable as their Covenant counterparts. Skirmishers can be deployed as shock troops or as guardians of tightly confined choke points, allowing them to outmaneuver or simply overpower most enemy infantry. Under perceptive Banished leaders, the best skirmishers have been granted a level of autonomy and discretion which far exceeds others in their species. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, consider hitting the subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future content, and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. It really does help the channel out significantly. Feel free to pop a comment below on anything you'd like me to cover next, and before signing off I just want to give a shout to my Patreon supporters, Spartan10148, my singular contender class ancilla, Falcon, Jordan and Poseidon, the metarchs of my facility, Sylphia, Ashley, Esoteric, Spartan 1029 and Chris Allen, my dutiful monitors, Darian, Legion, Labrat, Spartan 137, Chris, Element 0, J3, Mr. Keys, Gunslinger Cult, Evermore's Personal Devil, Scion Esports, and Saber, my diligent sub-monitors, my dominating fleet of Strato Sentinels, and my loyal enforcers, and all other patrons who continue to support the channel. I can't thank you guys enough. Big props to my Tier 0 YouTube members, Spartan 137, Talia, Fenrir, Bornstella, and Jimbo, and all other YouTube members keeping the installation running on that glorious vacuum energy. And if you really love what I'm doing here, consider supporting the channel via the links in the description. Much love, take it easy, and find peace in the domain.